Again, I'm Christopher Bianco, Dean of the College of Fine and Performing Arts. I am pinch hitting for an undergraduate advisor. Uh, I am pretty solid on our curriculum and our programs, and I wanted to make sure that there was a resource here for you from the college today. But I am curious as to what would be most helpful for you in this session, as opposed to just me kind of launching in and talking about our programs and blah blah blah. What is it? Or what types of information would be most useful for you in terms of connecting with your students with regards to our college? Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
hi there.
hi.
Hi, my name's Walt Maring, he, him pronouns. I'm the Humanities Education and Business Transfer Advisor at Whatcom Community College. I was hoping to learn a little bit more about what that portfolio process looks like, because I know a lot of the programs in the Fine Arts Department have a portfolio as part of the application,
Yeah.
and
So
just learn more about what students can do to start working on that portfolio even before they're taking classes specifically designed.
yeah. So there's to the best of my knowledge, there's two departments that use a portfolio review for entrance into a major, and in some cases a minor even, and that's the Department of Art and Art History. But the portfolio review is largely going to be in the studio art area, and so for us, studio art is painting, drawing, sculpture, etc. The other department that uses a portfolio review is the Department of Design. um, I guess in our college, and maybe I'll just sprinkle in some broad information. There's four academic departments that they are music, that's a standalone department. Theater and dance is another standalone department. Art and art history is a department, and design is a department. It is, I do have to answer questions frequently about our design department. It's shouldn't be confused with industrial design. So in the College of Science and Engineering, there is an industrial design program. The program in our college, it's called design, but what it really is graphic design, but that's really not the industry term that they use anymore. But that's what students are doing in our design department, is they're working using creative solutions to generate logos, images, um, video to be used in creative industry. So the design is less of an artistic degree and more of like a creative industries degree. So on the portfolio, I think probably the best thing to do would be if a student is interested in one of those programs that has a portfolio review, there is significant information on the website about what that looks like for any student, not just Western student. And they can take a look at that. The design department does offer I want to say it's a 100 level course, but a course that students can take that's a portfolio prep course, which is, if a student is able to do that, that's the best way for a student to learn about the portfolio review and prepare for that review. To my knowledge, I don't think art does that. But to answer your question, Walt, I would say um, looking at what the portfolio is intending to assess, starting there, and then thinking about where their own skills lie, and then contacting all of our departments do have an undergraduate advisor. Just the reason one of them is not here and it's me is because they're all very new, and our most senior advisor, who is going to do this workshop, she got a job in San Francisco at a university in San Francisco, so she's gone. But we do have undergraduate advisors that are in time, hopefully before too long, we'll be up to speed and ready to answer questions that anybody might have. Any other questions that I can help with? Or I guess maybe like what are you used to in these kind of sessions? Like just a presentation is okay, but I would rather just help you as much as I can. Yeah, Gail.
Hey, question, Christopher. What's the most common mistakes that students coming from a community college make coming into your college?
Yeah, I think I can only speak with solid experience from the perspective of the music department. The particularly uh, in the K-12 teacher preparation programs, unfortunately, those programs uh, it's a lockstep curriculum, and it has been difficult for transfer students to come in and go into that program in the time that they think they're going to have to spend here. So I think, particularly in our K-12 ed programs, because the Woodring College of Education has a stake in that, I think students tend to underestimate the amount of time that it takes. Um, Beyond that, I don't know that there is sort of a general mistake that students make. I think, many transfer students come here and do really well, and some don't. But I don't know that there's. I mean, do you have a sense that when you talk to your students that there are specific issues in transferring either into our arts programs or just 4-year arts degrees in general?
I think it's just the unknown. They need to reach out and make those connections and those networks that'll help them once they get to Western or to any 4-year school.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually helps me. Um, just rang a bell in my head. One of the mistakes that all students make, and not just transfer students, is they don't think they're good enough.
Hmm.
Um, and that's and they will come to our website and they'll see, oh, music, I have to audition, or they'll say, oh, art has a portfolio review, and they inflate that for whatever reason. And I think that's our fault. Like, we don't do a good enough job in saying that for the most part, those processes are just a very basic assessment of of where they are right now.
Mhm.
And in some cases, like my experience with music, a student may come, from who knows, anywhere, and they don't have a full understanding of what being a music major is, right? So they think, well, I love music, I want to be a music major, and they haven't been advised along the way, and they don't really have that skill set.
Yeah.
They think of that degree as just, so there are times where students are denied entry, but really, for us, as a 4-year comprehensive state institution, which we're really accessible, and that's one of the reasons I love our program versus like a Research One program, where it can be a lot harder for students to get access into our program. So I would just say maybe the biggest mistake is students underestimating their abilities and thinking that maybe they're not good enough to do those kinds of things here, when the vast majority of the time they can, and we want them to.
That's good
We
to know.
we want them, right? Like, it really is, that's the market that I feel like we're in, is we want them to come here. And I think students too often feel like it's the other way around, like,
Yeah. But that's why you go to school, is to learn and improve.
yeah.
Good. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks.
That would, Gail, where are you? Where do you work?
I'm at Skagit Valley College.
Okay. So that's, yeah. Thank you for asking a question. I have done it prior to being the dean. I was the conductor of the band program here, and
Mhm.
the Mount Vernon High School that does have terrific arts,
They do.
and I know that Skagit is a terrific pathway for a lot of students from that school, and anything we can do to and work on those relationships. The students that I've worked with from just Skagit County in general and Mount Vernon have been terrific, and really hope to work on that.
Yeah, our department chair for music, Diane Johnson, is real clear about the lockstep, and you've probably
Yeah.
worked with her some, but she takes good care of her students, and I hope they get there. I mean, I don't ever see the end of the story, so
Yeah. And that's, I'll say just to the, folks who are just, kind of listening, I'm a very strong believer in K-12 teacher training for young people that are passionate about the arts. I think that just, over the years, parents especially have this sense that, oh, my kid wants to go into the arts. That's terrible. Like they're never going to get a job. It's, you have to get lucky, to have a professional career in the arts. And that is not the case. My pathway, I was a music education major. That was my pathway. I was a pretty good trumpet player and musician, and I gained an entry. There was a real clear pathway to college, real clear pathway out of college, and so I was able to leverage my creative passions and my artistry into a career that's been pretty good for me. So I'm always encouraging young people who are creative and interested to look at our K-12 arts education programs. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, hi.
Oh, Chris Lee over here at Humanities over at Pierce College. So
Yeah.
going off of what you just said with that, I've been part of the Humanities program at Pierce, Whatcom, WSU. We sort of had a dip in students going this pathway because of what you talked about with the career-wise afterwards. So they're like, I'm really passionate about this, but nowadays with rent hikes and all those other things, where's the money in it? So as a student, if a student was to go towards Western, then as they're working through the program, what is the real life scenario? So like you were able to roll it into a dean in this, but is it always educational based? Is it
No.
connections via industry? So like just
Yeah.
when I'm working with students, what could be some outcomes that I could share with them that it's like, and their parents, especially because we have a huge running start population down here. So it's like, what are we going to do as they sort of crush their dreams at times by telling them don't do humanities and arts?
Yeah.
What can we discuss with them?
Okay, so with our programs, the degree path, let's taking aside the K-12 teacher training programs, which I think are, obviously are very solid pathways. Probably the most clearly defined pathway into a career is design. So if you hear a student talking about their interest in visual arts, or just you're creating visual content through like graphics programs, design is the field, and the placement, I don't know the placement rates off the top of my head, but our students, they get jobs, and they're some of the best paying jobs coming out of the college. So if you think of design as a keyword, that there are careers, particularly in this area, like what some of our design students, it's been a couple years now, but they designed the Starbucks Christmas cups, right? Like there's just an endless amount of work for students that have those skills, and they're very much in demand, and they're very good jobs. So that's a really clear pathway. Working through the other majors, I haven't really talked about theater yet, but there are lots of students who are passionate about theater or movies. It's not, our program is kind of a classic. It's called theater, but a lot of the skills can transfer to that. They think that the only thing that you can do there is acting, but that's only a maybe, I don't know the percentage, but it's less than half of all of our theater majors are actually wanting to be actors. And that's, that is a very difficult pathway. But there are other pathways which fall into, and I guess design is another word, stage tech, scenic design, lighting design, sound design. Those career pathways are very strong. you have to live in a certain place. Like I think, if a student wanted to go into one of those areas, living in Bellingham is going to be tough. But, certainly in Seattle, there is work, although there's a lot more work in Los Angeles and New York, which is where those students tend to usually go. We have a really, really nice alumni cohort in Los Angeles, and they're, only two of them are marginally famous, but everybody else is working, and they're working kind of, behind the scenes in those industries. Music, but if a student says performance major, like they say, I want to be a professional trombone player, that's a very serious statement, and one that requires, I think, a lot of conversations with a young person, because that is a very difficult career path road. So performance is one of those degrees where I was always really careful in coaching students and talking about, what the job prospects might be for that. I don't know if that's Chris. I'm just kind of blahing.
No, that's helpful. And in the chat, I was just saying, so if we did, be it music, be it art or something, they can they'll get it. Not only are they doing their courses, but they'll get experience through Western's theaters or Western's music programs. But I used to live in Bellingham. So do they also get experience with the local theater? Is there a team
Yes.
to get that real life? Not saying, college.
No.
It's just for resume purposes. At times they're great, you did it at college, but so they can also team up with the local theaters and programs in the area too.
Yeah, I think we do about as good a job of that as we can do in a city of our size. I think that there certainly is a strong arts culture in Bellingham, but it's not Seattle. But what's here, our students they're all over the community. There's a number of kind of semi-professional and even professional places where content is created in town, and our students are definitely involved in that.
Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. While I'm waiting for perhaps another question, I do also want to strongly, I'm talking about career paths, which I know is, very important. But I would also, it's important for you to know that if a student is interested in coming to Western on a different career path that's not arts related, they want to be an engineer, they can also participate in what we do here in a very big way. So if a student, that a student had a strong interest in the arts, perhaps in high school, and then maybe they didn't do those things at your college, but if that's something that they're looking for just as part of their overall experience here, we can do that, and they're almost all credit bearing. So there's a way for students to use the classes in the arts at Western, and they're not throwaway classes. They can be used as they're working through the different kinds of credits that they have to achieve for their degree. And there's a lot of opportunities for non-majors in our departments to get involved in what's happening in terms of the creative aspects on campus. And I don't know what kind of basic information. Oh, I just now realized that I haven't been monitoring the chat. I taught on Zoom during the pandemic. I was a professor before I became the dean, and I've sort of lost my edge in learning how to work with groups on Zoom. Yeah, okay. I think I'm on top of the chat. I was saying I don't know what kind of general information you're getting from the offices that are organizing this day, but our websites at the department level are not bad. They all need work to a certain degree, but one thing that they have worked on in the last couple of years is just making sure that the very basic pathway information is there for students who are interested in working through a degree. So I would say that that is probably the best first stop for students. And typically on those websites, they're able to get the name of the undergraduate advisor for our program. But yeah, just back to what I was saying before, encourage young people, if they're interested, to reach out, which I think we all probably